My name is Ashley, and this is Let's Talk Dispatch.
I do. You're gonna do it really well.
And I believe the world needs more dispatchers.
Around in the mud, blood, and
Plus
beer.
years that I'm not working 4th of July. 4th of July.
Saying community policing, right? What about community dispatch?
So on this show, with the help of my guests, we will educate, empower, and support the heroes behind the headset. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here of Let's Talk Dispatch with me, Ashley, the Raspy Dispatcher. Hope you guys are all having an amazing week, no matter what day of the week it is for you. I've been seeing a lot of people posting, posting they're at the Be the Difference conference, got a lot of other conferences coming up just around the corner. I believe Calnina is next month. So if you are going to a conference, congrats. I mean, it's one of the most, I think, impactful things you can do for your career and your development is at least go to a conference once, if not once a year. So for everyone who are out at these conferences, having a good time, learning about 911 dispatching, connecting with other dispatchers, really cherish those times and those moments because it is an amazing experience. And if you have not had their opportunity to go to a conference just yet, definitely make sure to try to get that in under your belt. We have created a scholarship fund here at the Raspy Dispatcher. I guess we are more creating it tagged along with our Dispatch Dialogues webinar series. And our hope is to help dispatchers go to these conferences, cover a little bit of that financial cost that comes along with it, and just continue to promote continued education for 911 dispatchers. So if you haven't checked out Dispatch Dialogues, again, it's our new webinar series. Our first one will be in March, dedicated to the CTOs, and we're really, truly looking forward to that. Now, moving on to my guest today. Today, I am joined by a familiar face, the executive director and founder of the 911 Chaplain Initiative. With 15 years of experience as a dispatcher and trainer, our guest today, Brandi, has dedicated her career to supporting the emotional and spiritual well-being of the 911 community. Through her newly minted nonprofit, she's working to provide critical resources, advocacy, and guidance to those on the front lines of emergency communications. Let me bring Brandi on with us now. Hi, Brandi.
Hi.
Long time no see.
I know. It's almost conference season, so I'll be on the road.
I know, right? And conference season, it's so funny because you've sometimes when you're like out on the road, I would say the way I was last year for sure. It feels like an all year round experience, which is so amazing, right? Like I think we're pretty lucky to experience that the way we do. But telling people like getting to just one conference, just one, if you can, is phenomenal.
It is. I would say that you find like this common thread at dispatch conferences because it's you and you in your career, and it feels kind of isolating when you go to these conferences. You meet all of these other people who are in the same career, in the same seat, under the same headset, have the same experiences, have the same gripes, complaints, the same issues with training, issues with staffing, issues with culture, or even just the same joy and love of serving their community. So that thread is found often at these conferences, and it's like, you're my sister, you're my brother. Like it's really bonding. It really is. It's just an amazing thing. So yeah, if you haven't been to a 911 conference, and hound your director, get to a conference. You need to go. It is worth it. It really is.
Definitely. Well, you have joined me before on our podcast, and I was telling offline, like I feel like before that episode, you were really, boots on the ground, creating this initiative, and now you are a full-fledged nonprofit and doing some big things. So, before we dive into that fully, for folks who did not perhaps catch the first time you came onto the show, maybe just like a little background of how you got into 911 and kind of what's led you to this point in your life.
Oh Lord, such a full question with a nice hot answer. Right? I'm gonna give you a little. I might minimize the answer, but man, dispatch has been such a huge portion of my life. And I always say this, like my dad was a police officer, and like I learned the Miranda rights when I was about 7 years old, and I learned them like I was reading, and I was an actor, right? So I learned like I was reading a script. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, can I was like, I was trying to like, I was such a nerd. I was such a theater nerd, but it was always there that in his police car, and the stories he told, and it was always there. So when I got into dispatch, for me it was a lot at first because I was so overly empathetic, but that hero portion of me, that hero complex that I have of saving the day and being the one with the answers that a lot of us have, a lot of us just kind of, I won't say struggle with, but we thrive with. I right? I wanted to be the hero, and it was just 15 years of kind of like literally every time I answered this phone, answering with the intent of like, okay, Lord, let me save somebody's life. Okay, let me be the comfort. Let me be the voice. Let me be what they need. Let me find what they need. Resources. Let me send what they need. So my time in dispatch was great. One of those things where I know it's a lot of people will say, "Oh, I love the job. It was just the blah blah blah." That's
Yeah.
always, but yeah, oh, I loved being a dispatcher. Like I miss it tremendously. Like I loved it. It was amazing. And I did that for 15 years. Then my son got sick and I left dispatch. But because we are not federally considered first responders, I was a federal employee as a dispatcher. When I came back to go to work, the only thing that dispatch job translated into was a secretary position. And I got to work and I was like, this is not what I've been doing for 15 years. This is not the same thing. How could y'all think we're secretaries? And oh my God, I was so underwhelmed. Like I took a data analytic course. I learned how to code. I was just so bored as a secretary because it's not the same thing.
Not.
OPM is the same thing. But so I knew then that I had to be at least dispatch adjacent. So I started to kind of study the conferences because in my 15 years, I had never been to a conference. Believe it or not, I'd never
Yeah.
been to a professional conference. So I started looking into it, and I've been in ministry for almost 13 years now. And I was like, well, speaking is something I do regularly. Maybe I could do this. And the first speech I did was 911 chaplains tending to the soul of dispatch, because I realized this experience of being shifted to being secretary that the government didn't consider us first responders. And what it made me realize was, because we're not considered first responders, what else do we not have? And then I began to look at my own experience and realize I'd never seen a chaplain walk through. And when we called chaplains out, they would go out for the community, or they would be there for the police or EMS or fire, but they were never there for us. And I started asking questions at the survey, and a lot of people were like, oh no, we have the police chaplain, but we don't have a chaplain. So that became the platform that I launched, that I stood on, was like, hey, I'm advocating. We are hurting sometimes in these seats. Sometimes we don't feel it the day of. We feel it 3 weeks later, or the next time we handle a similar call. It's like whiplash. You don't always feel it the day of. You may feel it later, right? So like, we need support. And as long as we're not considered first responders, we're not going to get it. So my platform was, we are heroes. We are responders. We need support. We need mental support. We need spiritual and emotional support. We need physical support. Whatever we can get, we need to get it. But for that to happen, I got to stand on this hill and let the world know that we are first responders. I have to stand on the hill and say, hey, there are people who are saving lives every single day, and their lives are being stifled, their hearts are being broken, their minds are being crushed because of the weight of what they're dealing with. So if you don't give them the resources, then you won't have a healthy dispatcher. And if you don't have a healthy dispatcher, then you don't have a good dispatcher. So it became like this passion. And for me now, every time, I think about calls or look at the news too much, I just get this overwhelming heaviness, like, oh my God, these people who are just heroes, who are just amazing, amazing people. Like, I bleed gold, y'all. Like, I'm all about the dispatcher. And most people who meet me know this, that every class I do, I will affirm the dispatcher. Every single class I teach, there's going to be at least a 5-minute break where I tell everyone in the class how proud I am of you, how you are serving your community, and you are a hero, regardless of what the world says or how the world looks at you. You do a noble, noble job. And it's just been really, really important for me to let the world, in the centers and out of the centers, know who we are as this thing go line.
It's so funny when we talk about like the reality that a lot of places, a lot of states, the government doesn't recognize us as first responders. And recently with like the California fires, that has been a topic on the webs. First responders and the wildfires. It's been on a lot of like the Facebook pages that Disney or Universal or somebody was offering discounts for first responders in response to the wildfires and things like that. And when those kind of big name responses go out there, this idea of what are we not getting is highlighted. And sure, like a Disney ticket or whatever discount would be wonderful, like cool. But what you're talking about is so much more impactful. Like this service that was lacking for dispatchers because of that lack of status is so important, and even if we're looking from like a spiritual, 911 chaplain lens or just any other type of therapy or resources that we don't have great access to because of that label being not being existent. It's that is the thing that we are trying to highlight, to impact and really make a change, because we are doing life-saving, life-changing work, and the mind is the most important, and I would say can be extremely fragile with the amount of exposure that we have to people's worst days.
Yeah. I say it all the time. We talk to people on the worst day of their life multiple times a day, and it weighs on you. There's secondary trauma that is just building up. And there are EAP programs, and most agencies have access to it. Nobody uses those. Like a good 60% of people just refuse to, in general. I read recently, because these people, when you go to a therapist who does not understand public safety,
Yeah.
doesn't understand what our job consists of, typically they're kind of in awe in like a weird, like voyeuristic way, right? They're
And
like,
now I'm counseling you. Like, no, this is what we do.
you talk, oh, so have you ever had to, and like they get real, and they'll ask you like that most triggering question, or, well, that's your worst call, baby, leave me alone. I don't want to that. Like, I still hear screams when you ask me that. Like, I can hear them. Don't ask me that. That's a horrible question to ask, but they don't know. And because they don't know, they come in at this deficit, their baseline of knowledge, they're in a deficit. They don't understand the job. They don't understand. And then their mind, they're thinking, well, you're safe. You're not you're not out in the field, you're not being exposed to it, but you don't know the screams of someone who has found a suicide, the screams of a mother whose child is not breathing. You don't know the scream of someone whose baby is choking until you talk to them, like until you have to deal with this, and you have to de-escalate with just your voice. Just your voice. You have to de-escalate this call and try to get this person to calm down. It's like, it's not something that I wish on people who aren't ready and equipped for it. You know what I mean? It can be so traumatizing. So that's why if we have resources at the ready, if we're involved in critical incident debriefings immediately, we have access to mental health and peer support and chaplaincy. I think we can be strong in these seats and bold, because for every, we get a lot of miscellaneous calls, a lot of non-emergency calls, but every once in a while we get ones that will stay with you. So what do we do about the ones that stay? We give you resources. We give you what you need, so that it won't hinder you moving forward. Because people will leave the field with scars. They'll leave the field and go and traumatize a whole nother industry, right? Like, I want you to be okay. I want you to be okay enough to stay, but if you can't, I still want you to be okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's my heart. Is that we can do this job, and we can do it well, and we can do it proudly, being able to brag about what we do. Like everybody else, like I have a friend that's my best friend is a school teacher, and she got so many music teacher and education shirts and stuff, and like we got our little merch now, but we had to make it. We all had to make our merch. Right? We had to, everybody who does this merch makes their own. Okay, because it's just not, people aren't just assuming you're proud to be a dispatcher. When you say I'm a dispatcher, people say, "Ooh, I could never do that. You're better than me."
Hey, but we hiring though, you know what I mean?
You're saying it like I'm picking up trash or something, bro. Like, but come on, like we do something amazing, but we got to have the resources to make it sustainable as a career. And I know you teach a lot about coming into this field, and I'm so grateful for where we've come, because 15 years ago when I started, wellness was putting a treadmill in the break room. Wellness was giving you that pedal to do at your seat so you could work out. That was wellness. They didn't care about mental health or your emotional health, definitely not your spiritual health. It was just the job. There's no work-life balance. It's the job. And so we have come a long way to make this job, I don't want to say palatable, but to make it sustainable, to make it a healthy field, and fighting every day to make it even more healthy.
And speaking of fighting, tell us a little bit about 911 Chaplain and how you've gotten this nonprofit status and what you guys are all about.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I went to the Triple T conference last year, and I saw Andrea Smith King Smith. I saw her teach this class on imposter syndrome. And while she was teaching, I was like, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have imposter syndrome anymore. I know exactly who I am. And then the next morning, I woke up and I sat on the side of the bed and I was looking crazy. And I was like, why am I here? I'm a fraud. They're going to find me out. And then I realized, like, okay, Brandi, relax, chill out. Why are you teaching about 911 chaplains? And I was like, this is because this is who you are. And if someone's going to create it, why won't you create it? And I had this revelation, and I prayed about it, and the 911 Chaplain as the like hashtag brand was born. As a result of that, I've it took me some months because I couldn't release my baby to just anybody. I was scared. I like set up all of my paperwork, and then they were like, you need a board of directors. And I was like, huh? I was so scared. I was like, who's gonna want to fight with me? We have to fight for first responder reclassification. We have to fight for the right for these people to have wellness resources. Who's fighting with me? And I felt alone. And then I started just making TikToks and making videos, and I realized that I wasn't alone. So I built a board of directors. And Reverend Edie, she's from Texas. She was the first person to call herself the 911 chaplain, but she was the 911 virtual chaplain. She's amazing. Like PhD, Master of Divinity. She knows everything. Super smart. She's a spirit animal. I love her deeply. She's my chair. And then Matt Smith, he's this pastor out of Arkansas. And he actually is a 911 chaplain. Like, we're not a unicorn, it's a thing. But he never dispatched, but God told him to go see about the 911 center in his city. And so he actually goes and sits on every shift, every month for 2 or 3 hours. He knows everyone by name. He knows their phone number. They got his phone number. They can text him at any time. His church has adopted the center. And they feed a different shift. The old ladies feed a different shift. The center needs something like repaired. His church, the men will come in, fix the floor. Like, they adopted the center. And that's the model that we're using is how he loves these people, and he gives them like a daily devotional. He writes for them every day, encouraging words
Mhm.
and I'm just in awe of what he does. So they're my chair and my like vice chair, my co-chair, and we started to build something amazing. So the first thing we have, it starts in April, is the training academy. Now, Reverend Edie is like I said, she has PhD. She's so smart. She's developed this intensive curriculum. It's a cohort. It's going to be
Mhm.
bi-weekly for 5 months. It's going to be remote. And then
Mm.
at the end of the 5 months, it's going to be a 3-day retreat in San Antonio, Texas. So
Mm.
right now we have about, I want to say 20 people who are interested.
So cool.
We have another 16 spots available.
Mm.
So 36 people will be able to be trained as 911 chaplains. It's a 5-month intensive program. They're
Mhm.
learning emotional resilience. They're learning some theology. They're learning how to deal with different religions because it's not a Christian thing. This is an
Yeah.
interfaith. This is faith. This is hope. Somebody's here for
Mm.
you. Someone cares for you, right? We're not.
Mm.
I'm not out here trying to preach salvation or
Mm.
judge anybody or force anyone into anything. This is about, hey, emotional resilience, and you're not by yourself. There's someone who cares for you. So the program is 5 months, and with a retreat, I'm like a capstone, but with retreat in San Antonio, Texas, in September. And that's what the biggest project we're working on now. It is going to be amazing. These 36 people, as of now, 20 people are representing over a dozen states
Wow.
that have reached out. I mean, as far
Mhm.
as Washington State and Nevada and Pennsylvania and Missouri. I mean, all over the country. And I'm excited about filling the rest of the spots because these people are going to walk with us.
Yeah.
And we would like to be able to deploy if something happens, like that the shooting in Wyoming. My heart just went out to whoever handled that call. I reached out to the agency. Like it breaks my heart to think of what this person may be feeling. You familiar with what happened in Wyoming?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just that. And last fall when Hurricane Helene hit North
Mhm.
Carolina, I was in I think Mississippi, and I
Mm.
was at a conference. I was in like this VIP suite or something, and I felt so guilty. I was like, no, I need to be in North Carolina. I need to be helping them. But these are the things
Mhm.
that we want to be able to deploy for. We want to be able to get on the plane or in the car or on the train and come and see about these people. If you need someone to do critical incident debriefings, we'll have a team of people who will be able to do it and qualified to do it. And so the academy is just starting, but it's going to be an amazing thing. When I say intensive, they got they got readings, they got homework. It's going to be
Mhm.
amazing. And they're going to be equipped when it's over with because everyone who is signing up is a dispatcher or
Mm.
retired.
Mhm. Mm.
Everyone who's signed up is affiliated with the goal line, and that's a requirement. And if they're not, they got to do some still a long time. They have to get some time in. So yeah, but we're really excited. We have a great board of directors, and they're all really passionate about um, ministry and service, and they're all, with the exception of Pastor Matt, they're all dispatchers. They're all career dispatchers. They've been here for a long time, various levels of authority. I have directors levels, I have supervisor levels. I'm a traveling dispatcher who works with Get Rescue 911, and she is on my board of directors as well. So it's just really like an amazing team of people. We're still accepting volunteers too. I got a lot of stuff to do, you know.
Heck yes. But you know what? I applaud you because creating something new is so tough. I sent I'm doing my webinar series, and so I sent like the first little email to people who've registered so far. And my opening was like, creating something new is like inviting people to your birthday and you feel like no one's going to show up. Like, that's like the constant feeling that you're
Mhm.
fighting when you're creating something new. And the fact that you are getting good responses, you got these awesome board of directors to create these amazing things with you. People are buying in and they're wanting to participate. Like, it's such a cool thing to do as well as to witness. Like I said, when you came on our show last time and you were just starting and like all the ideas were in your head and haven't fully come out yet, and there's still more to come, and it's really starting to come together, and it's really just fun to hear about and to watch happen.
Yeah, it definitely is. When I went, it's so weird. I'm telling you a weird, it's kind of funny story. So when I got our built our website because I'm a control freak. So dispatchers are control freaks, right? So I built everything. I built website. I designed the t-shirts. I'm not outsourcing anything. I know I need to, but I built this website, and I was looking for a domain, and the domain Goal Line Chaplains was available, and so I bought it. And then I was like, dang, that would have been a good name for the nonprofit. Why didn't I think of Goal Line Chaplains? And then I thought about it even more. The 911 chaplain has been like what I've been known as, which I'm
Mhm.
fine with that. A lot of times I put it on the flyers, I put it on the things that I put it as a hashtag. But when I say 911 chaplain or the 911 chaplain, the response is usually, we have those? What? They're like,
Yeah.
who? We got 911 chaplain? And so I love that. So the 911 chaplain initiative, I want people to be like, we have those? How do I find out more? Like,
Yeah.
'cause it brings up like this isn't public safety, this is law enforcement chaplain. This is for us. This is for the
Mhm.
goal line. This is for 911. And I'm really excited about that. So it wasn't like, okay, you're the 911 chaplain and you just threw another word at the end of your moniker. No, no, no. I want people to be like, what? Tell me
Mm.
more. And that has been like the response. I remember making a post about it like over a year ago when it was first kind of forming in my brain. And a guy from I think he was from Pennsylvania, he messaged me. He was like, is this a thing? Do we have chaplains? Who has chaplains? I've never heard of a 911 chaplain. Someone just for 911. I was like, sir, it's not a thing, but we're gonna make it a thing.
Yeah, we
Let's
out here.
and you're right, like building something from scratch, like that's never been done. Um, you know, Big hill to climb.
Mm.
Um, and there was this fear from several months that no one would want to walk with me. I
Mm.
get a lot of like, kind of proud of you moments, but
Yeah.
like outwardly, like I got your back. I didn't have that initially, and it wasn't for
Mm.
lack of. It wasn't because I got out and said anything. I was really afraid
Mm.
to put people behind what I was doing because I was scared. I had to pray about the balance, because I didn't want people to think I'm throwing religion in your face or
Mm.
anything like that, because it's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing
Mhm.
is letting you know that someone is there for you, that someone is there to support you. Our classes are led by someone, are being written, are created by someone who has a PhD in psychology. Like this is going to help us with emotional resilience, peer support, and also spiritual wellness, because there's this element of, if I don't have hope in what I can see, I need hope in what I can't see. And so the goal behind it is to give people something to believe in. you know
Mm.
what you believe in matters, and we believe in 911.
Mhm. And it's always interesting with any type of resource that is like wellness based, the therapy or group session, like that falls into that realm. I always like to remind people that it comes down to like what you don't have to agree with everything. Like
Yeah,
everything in a session, everything in a class, everything in a course may not be meant for you, right? But take the thing that is. And maybe
right.
that thing that is the thing that changes everything,
Oh yes.
and that is just you can try something like 911 Chaplain or any other type of resource and love 35% of it. And that's doing good work, like 35% of something valuable is bigger than 0, and I think that's really important when we're trying out these new things and
Mhm.
trying to find things that work for us,
Yeah.
especially when we're combating the things that we deal with in this line of work.
Definitely. I think like you mentioned, just having enough resources so that you can find what works for you. Because it may
Mhm.
be therapy, it may be the EAP, it may be the chaplaincy, it may be peer support, but you need to find something that works for you. I saw yesterday on a Facebook group a girl who was saying, "Hey, can anyone talk? I had to leave work early. I took a bad call." And someone in the comments was like, "Try Brandi Powell. She's a great resource." And I just
Mm.
boo cried. I and I did, and I honestly did, and I reached out to her. I cried so
Yeah.
much because you know I don't want our profession to be about the pain. I want it to be
Mhm.
about the purpose, right? I don't want it to be about the struggles and toxicity. I want it to be about like we're heroes, right? When you think about
Mhm.
heroes, like you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I'm a big Marvel fan. Like I'm a huge Marvel fan, like a big nerd. They tear stuff up in them cities. You hear me? When they be fighting, they tear them cities to pieces. Ain't nobody think about that. They're not thinking about the fact this building just fell over. They're like, Captain America saved my life, right? We're not thinking about the mess. We're thinking about I'm saving somebody's life. Like it is so much bigger than interpersonal communication issues. It's so much bigger
Mhm.
than than bullies and workplace toxicity or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. It's bigger than that. You're doing something that is needed. Everybody ain't able to
Mhm.
do it. They got
Mhm.
statistics floating around about who can and cannot dispatch, and whether they're true or not. We know the people we've seen come in and not be able to handle it. Right? We know that that's a thing. So if you are still in the seat, I commend you, and I give you your flowers every single day
Mm.
because it's not easy, but it's so worthwhile. And I'm hoping like one day we can get closure on some of our calls. I'm trying my best to get a TV show.
Well, yeah, you better let me be a guest. That's all I'm saying.
Dispatchers with those calls that they were just like, did I save them? Did I save them? And then they're able to like hold the baby they delivered, or they're able to
Yeah,
like shake the person. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I
I
keep meeting
believe
the
it.
yeah, because we don't get closure, but I'm like, I've been pitching it too. Like, I'm so funny. I've been pitching. I talked to some network people, and they were like, "Well, how do we do that?" I was like, "Listen, I know 911. We want this. We need something there. I don't know what happened to them. I need to
Yeah,
answer. You
yeah.
know, like it won't just be on my calls. I'll spread the joy. I'll spread the joy."
Well, and I think what's awesome is that people associate your name, your brand, your spirit with helping people, not just answering 911, but like helping the helpers, as they say. Um, but I think what's also like highlighted in that story is like this person didn't either A, have the resources available at their department, B, has resources but doesn't know how to access them because it's not really talked about, or C, has the resources and doesn't feel comfortable accessing them because there has been a breach of privacy, or a culture shift where people steer you away from accessing those resources, and those realities are not good either, right? Like it's amazing, but we should have these in our centers too.
Yeah, we should be able to trust the support. And I
Mhm.
think that's one of the reasons why when I do go out and teach, is a lot of it is building rapport. I need you to
Mm.
trust me because I want you to know my heart is sincere. A lot of times with EAP, sometimes people think, if someone has a contract, what if I know the person, or what if the
Mhm.
person doesn't care, or what if, I get retaliated because I needed some mental health time and they don't let me come back to work, or they think, that I'm triggered by all these calls now and they doubt my ability, and it becomes this thing where you don't feel safe seeking help. And I always I teach two things constantly, and it is harbor a safe environment, and the
Mm.
other one is source your pain. So
Mm.
harboring a safe environment. I asked that recently in Pennsylvania to a classroom of dispatchers. I was like, "How do you harbor a safe environment?" And one of the responses was, "There's no safe environment in dispatch."
They're
And they
like, "Stay home?"
were laughing, and I was like, "Ha ha
Mm.
ha! Y'all chill out now." They were
Yeah.
laughing. This is the thing. If there is no safe environment in dispatch, you need to be the safe environment.
Mm.
You create a safe environment. You let people know that you are the safe place. And so that's really important, is that you really can't control a lot of things. Can't control the type of calls you get. You can't control the people and their attitudes, but what you can control is what you offer. What you can control is what you pour into the situation, how you respond. If you respond with grace or if you respond in kind. Because we got out of that golden rule a long time ago and started matching energy in dispatch, and it's very difficult, right? And then the other thing I teach is outsource your pain, right? So outsourcing your pain, there is somebody better equipped to handle what you're going through than you are. I know all this stuff going on in here. I can't handle it. That's why I got so many notebooks. I'm writing notes down. I'm trying to figure out these things. But at a certain point, if I get overwhelmed and I get anxious, I have to speak to a therapist, because sometimes anxiety can make you feel like you're drowning, right? Sometimes fear or apprehension or depression can make you feel like you're drowning. There is someone who is equipped to handle it, whether it's a chaplain, your pastor, your best friend, a therapist, a coach, a life coach, a peer support team. Somebody is equipped. Someone has the tools that you need to feel better. So we don't try to fix our own car unless we're a mechanic. I will tear that thing to pieces. You hear me?
Especially them hybrids, when they got the electric in there,
Listen, my car, my Reynolds cut off at the light, and like they do them hybrids. I thought my car was broke down, because I'm used to having broke down cars from when I was younger. I was like, Lord, it cut off. I need to jump. Listen, I don't know anything about cars, so if my car breaks, I have to outsource it, right? If our body gets sick, we try to fix it ourselves as long as we can. We try to, self-medicate. We try to get our medicine. We try to, drink fluids and get rest, whatever. Well, I don't rest, but most people do, right? Get what we need to get to feel better. But at a certain point, if you're not getting better, you have to outsource your sickness. You got to go to the doctor. You have to go to the ER. It's the same thing with emotional pain. If you are hurting, if you are consistently triggered, if you are going through time and time again, dreading coming to work because you don't know what's going to be on the other side of that line, you don't know if it's going to be your worst nightmare, someone you know, or even a call that you've handled before that you feel you failed on. Those things are filled up. And at that point, you need to say, hey, you know what? I can't handle this by myself. What are my resources? But it has to be a safe place for you to be able to access resources. So in trying to get the 911 chaplain name out, I want people to be able to say and advocate and fight for, hey, we need chaplains. I know there's somebody who's training. I want to be trained, right? If you want to be trained as a chaplain, you're a dispatcher right now, you're like, hey, I feel strongly that I want to be able to be there for my center, or I'm retiring soon and I want to be able to turn around and pour back into these people who've been pouring into me all these years, then you can sign up too. Become a chaplain, to learn and train and glean and get equipped, because somebody needs to outsource, right? Someone needs to be able to say, I need support, and the support needs to be present.
Oh, getting goosebumps over here. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, just so amazing. I love the work you do. I love your passion for it. I love the way you open it up for all people, and really, like you said, it's about knowing you're not alone. It's about finding, something to believe in, the hope. And I think this is just going to continue. I mean, since the first time we had this conversation to now, the growth, girl, the growth, amazing. So I know the next time we have this conversation, just how much it's going to continue to grow is phenomenal. And I'm so excited and just glad that I'm a little blip. Raspy Dispatcher has a little piece of, supporting you and your mission to get 911 chaplains in our centers.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. Sometimes I talk so much about 911 that people are like, you make it sound like it's fun. I want to be a dispatcher. And I'm like, hey, the rest dispatcher. Come over here. My friend Ashley, she'll tell you all about dispatch.
Yeah, I'll take that soft hand off. Let's go.
I slide them on over. And I'm like, okay, you're not in the chair yet. I'm not for you yet. She's for you. Let me slide over here to Ashley. And it's amazing because they're like, people are saying, you're so passionate about it, it makes me think it's a field to get into. And I'm like, it is a field to get into. It is a
Yes.
viable career. It is. And the
Mhm.
more that we have people like you, Ashley, the more that we have people who are willing to fight and expand their vision to include the goal line, the more people will flock to this field and stay in the
Mm.
field, in the seat. And
Mhm.
that's my hope, is that we can stay, we can come back again the next day and do it again and save some more lives and feel proud about it. Like put our S on our chest, and wear the tape openly. Amazing things. And it's not just people who are building things outside of dispatch that are facing dispatch, but every dispatcher, I need you to know, like, I'm rooting for you in a way that makes me cry probably every single day. Like I'm a crybaby. My board knows, is like as soon as I get on the call, I start crying because my heart is for these people, the
Mhm.
hardest people. And I know it's just like, to some people, it's just a job. I've been accused of bleeding gold more times than I can count. But I have a real passion for uplifting the people who are still doing this job and making sure they have the training they need, the technology they need, the resources they need is so crucial and is so important to me. And reclassification and is the hill that I'll die on, because I
Mhm.
believe that it is the first step in a lot of funding for resources that we don't
Mhm.
have access to. Because if you read, I've been reading these grants and reading this this information about funding, and a lot of it is very specific to police or very specific to field responders. So we really
Mhm.
we really got to fight. I'm so proud of everyone who's fighting, going to Washington this
Mhm.
month. I'm so proud of it. Wish I could go to Washington. What am I gonna do? Pray for them? I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just wish.
No, but it's so true. I mean, imagine if every center, just the intention was to support and advocate for the people in the seats. And they're not going to get it right all the time. It's not going to be a perfect home in every center. But if leadership and departments were just intentionally moving that way consistently, like the staffing issue would just shift. I mean, we go into these centers that have great culture, which doesn't mean they're perfect, but have a great culture and they have staff or admin who support. I mean, you see the difference. You see that it's possible. And then you go to these centers that are struggling and you're just like, why are we making this so hard for ourselves? So we just want every center to just feel valued and feel appreciated, and not in the way that I'm just getting a pat on the back. Like, I know
Right.
you're valuing and appreciating me by sending me to these trainings, by giving me access to my own 911 chaplain, that's the support and the appreciation we're talking about. I mean, I'll take a free pizza too, but like also, but how I'm really gonna feel that love and support is that
Yeah.
you're investing in me, in my
Yes.
career, in my
Exactly.
well-being that
Yes.
way, and that's what we need at all of our centers.
Definitely, I agree with that 100%. I think that knowing that it's not just operations, that we care about you as a person and we care about your career, right?
Mm,
I
mhm,
recently was talking to some people, and it was funny. One of them was, she was very operations focused in her time as a manager. She said she was so focused on operations she forgot the people, and she realized that too little, too late. And then there was another
mhm,
person who was so um, mentor focused, like he had a mentor, and so he became a mentor over and over again because it was important to him, because he had that, he wanted to pay it forward. And it was just this interesting idea of, like, if leadership can take this mentor approach, and this I'm going to pull you up approach versus this operations only.
mhm,
We can have a shift. Like both of them, what he did well and what she did poorly, like literally spoke volumes about.
mhm,
I never had a mentor. I never had someone to kind of help me pull forth in my career. I had to figure it out myself, and it's
mhm,
hard. It felt like quicksand a lot,
yeah,
but to know like that people are investing in like these classes on culture, these classes on how to give grace. Like the things that I teach, people want me to come teach, and I'm like, I'm just teaching y'all how to get along. Like, yes, we come on. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Wellness that's a part of wellness. Like you having this deep beef with everybody is you're not well. There's something that's like you're not well.
Yeah.
But it's this big thing. I agree with you. Like investing in them as whole people. Whole people. You're full of this mind, body, soul. As a whole person, you have a career. You're not just a butt to fill the seat, which I've been told before, and did not make me feel good. But to know that, but people feel that way. To know that, hey, you're not just a number, right? If something happened to you, I would care. There are too many people who are in our field, in other fields, I'm sure, right? We just deep this goal, right? But other fields, I'm sure, who feel unseen and unheard, even in their center, even in their workplace. And I just want you to know, like, I see you, I hear you, right? But also, like, how can we expand it so every center, so all these, like, we have almost 6,000 PSAPs in the United States. Secondary and primary PSAPs. That's a lot of 911 centers. And if all these people are hurting and no one cares, then we are doing a disservice to our nation as servants. So we got to make sure that we're okay so that we can do our job and do it well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting people involved, I know you mentioned people can volunteer. People can show their interest in the course that's coming up. How do they find you? How do they reach out to you? How can folks stay up to date with everything that you got going on?
Okay, so I am on LinkedIn. Like, we have no followers, so y'all follow me if you're on LinkedIn. Okay. So the 911 Chaplain Initiative is on LinkedIn. It's also on Facebook. We have a page on Facebook. It's a little more popular than LinkedIn, I'll say that. And we have a website, goallinechaplains.org. And on that website, you can donate. 501(c)(3) is tax deductible, right? You can donate, you can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up for the Chaplain Academy. The first thing when you get there, we'll be asking you if you want to sign up for the Chaplain Academy. We still have 16 spots available for the Academy. You can email me if you want at Brandi@goallinechaplains.org. So if you see me online, it'll probably say at the 911 Chaplain. That's how I represent myself online, because it's just a huge part of everything that I do. But we're online. You can find us. And support in any way you can. We have some merchandise. We have t-shirts and mugs and hoodies and all that stuff. And I wrote a book because I'm so extra.
That's on my to-do list too, girl. I feel it.
That I wrote a book, and it will be out in time for Tele Week, not time for telecommunicator week. So it's a 90-day dispatch devotional just for dispatch. Don't give it to no nurses. Okay, don't give it to any teachers. This is not for them. Okay, this is for the goal line. This is just for us. We're gonna talk about them calls. We're gonna pray about it. We're gonna write about it. And I think journals and devotionals and things of that nature, things that make you get these thoughts are really healthy. And so I have that coming out as well. So all of that will be on our website, which is it's being revamped now, but the one we have is still available. And fill out that form, that contact form, so we can reach out to you. And those who are interested in the Chaplain Academy, I promise you, it is going to be intensive. It is going to be amazing, and you'll be equipped. And not only that, but when you graduate, when you finish this certification, you'll have your own chaplain. You have someone who you can reach out to. So you'll have support. It won't let you go and serve these people and pour out and then not have someone to turn around and talk to. So we'll always be there for you. So
look how full circle that is. Look at that. Love it, love it, love it. Brandi, thank you again for coming onto the show, for pouring your heart into everything you do with the Gold Line. It's from one person who's creating things from scratch to another. I know it is challenging, and the fact that you just continue to show up and create more things is just so helpful for us and the Gold Line community. So thank you for that.
Thank you for what you do, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, before we go, the last question that I ask always is, what advice would you give someone who's considering a career as a dispatcher?
My advice is don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid. Be the change, right? So if you go into an environment, you can't control the environment, but you can control yourself, right? That's what I mentioned earlier. I want you to know that a lot of times we have a very negative way that we encounter new people. And if you're new or if you're jumping into the field, a lot of times there's going to be this illusion that dispatchers eat their young. We won't eat you, okay? We will not eat you. We're working to change the culture, so that's not a thing. But just keep fighting. Don't be afraid. Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. The job itself is not the hardest part of it. Sometimes it's the interpersonal. It's those things. That's why I say you control your environment, right? You have the safety to say, I have control of my environment. I know what I'm bringing. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to look forward, and that's what you can do. So there's a lot of things that are out of your control, but what you can control and give grace and just keep fighting. Is again, this field in 10 years is not going to look like it looks now. This field now does not look like it did 10 years ago. So we're going to keep progressing and saving lives, and we want you to be a part of it.
Amazing. Brandi, thank you again. I'll be right back with you. All right, everybody. Another amazing here on Let's Talk Dispatch. Brandi, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for our Gold Line community. And I will include the website and contact information for Brandi in the description section of this episode so you can check them out. Give them a follow, fill out the form, volunteer, and donate. And if you can't donate, liking, sharing, telling a friend is just as impactful on these social media platforms. Again, check out the raspydispatcher.com for all the nonsense that we got going on. Dispatch dialogues. If you want to be a guest on our podcast, all of that can be found there. Until next time, everybody, stay raspy. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Dispatch podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the show, or maybe even submitting your own story, you can do all that and more at theraspydispatcher.com. Until next time, stay raspy.